Hello and welcome back to the GCN Racing News Show. Basque fervour, early attacks, early crashes and surprise winners. The Tour de France is 2 stages in, at the time of filming at least, and it's just about had it all already. We'll recap a fantastic Grand Départ in the Basque Country before looking to Italy and the Giro Donne, where we've seen an intriguing start to the race. That and more on this week's Racing News Show. This week in the world of racing, we've learnt that you can never trust the weather in Italy. The first stage of the Giro Donne was rained off. More on that later. We also learnt that Race Radio is giving us all the info we need at the Tour de France.
I'm behind the car, can I have a banana?
In fairness, I've really enjoyed hearing communication between riders and directors so far. We also learnt that Adam Yates is winning the cutest dog in the Peloton Awards. And we learnt that the Tour de France should start in the Basque Country every year. Okay, maybe getting slightly carried away there, but at the time of filming at least, we've had 2 thrilling stages, absolutely packed with action and takeaways. So let's dive in. The race began with probably the hardest opening Tour de France stage in living memory. The likes of Pascal Enkhorn and Jonas Vingegaard, who was representing Uno X in their first Tour de France appearance, were among the breakaway riders competing for the first polka dot jersey. They were reeled in with 50k to go though, meaning Niels and Paulus could mop up the 5 points available over the Côte de Vivero, securing the jersey. And now's a good time to remember, I think, that cycling can be a brutal sport. Descending the climb, Enric Mas and Richard Carapaz crashed out, ending their GC chances and race before it had even begun. Mas's gaze told 1,000 stories, months of preparation, planning and training, all demolished in one moment. The Spaniard got into the team car, and although Carapaz bravely battled to the finish, he was forced to abandon with a broken patella. You can't help but feel for them both. The race rolled on though to the Côte de Piquet, and featuring absurd percentages, everyone knew this is where the race could explode. And take a moment to watch the Basque fans out in force putting on a show. Adam Yates ramped up the rhythm and decimated the peloton before Pogačar made his first attack on day 1 of the Tour de France. I mean, look how scattered the riders are over the top. The first 3 were Pogačar, Vingegaard, no surprises there, but the big surprise was Victor Lafay. The Frenchman is a very capable puncher, but this was one of the rides of his life so far. Anyway, with the speedy Wout van Aert in close proximity, Vingegaard refused to work with Pogačar and the move stalled. As the chasers rejoined, Yates swiftly counterattacked and he was followed by Yates. Yes, twin brothers Simon and Adam Yates moved clear on the descent and the brotherly love was on full display. Despite Jumbo-Visma's chase behind, it quickly became clear that one of them would win the inaugural Maillot Jaune. Adam edged away in the final 300 metres to win the first Grand Tour stage of his career in his 12th Grand Tour. Remarkable to me that he hadn't won a Grand Tour stage already. 10-time Grand Tour stage winner Simon had to settle for second, and behind, Pogačar sprinted to third to secure 4 bonus seconds and emphatically celebrated his teammates' win across the line. 1-0 UAE. What a historic moment for the Yates family. It's not unheard of for brothers to want to a Tour de France stage. The Schleck brothers actually did it in 2011, but there was more than 2 minutes between them on the road that day on the Col de Galibier. Riding together until the very final metres must have made that, what will be known as the Yates stage, surely extra special for the brothers. Here's what they had to say at the finish.
For the first time in probably my career, I didn't really know what to say. Yeah, I think we did a super good job. There was a little bit of headwind on the descent after the climb, so you know, started to play the game. I came back and I went straight across, you know, to see what was happening, and then he gave me the go-ahead to start working with my brother. So yeah, all in all, it was a perfect day.
To get away with Adam, maybe there's a chance. Pretty close and all me, but yeah, I had some cramps in the final, but just a bit. Really humid day, so unfortunately he got the better of me, but I'm sure there's more chances coming up. It's first stage of the tour, first Grand Tour stage, so of course I'm ecstatic for him, but I also wanted to win. We're quite competitive, and yeah, like I said, I'll try and get better of him in the coming days.
Adam Yates began stage 2 in yellow then, while Simon looked after green for his brother. while we had the familiar sight of Tadej Pogačar back in the white jersey. His third place on stage 1 made it the 45th day in succession that Pogačar has held the white jersey at the Tour de France. According to our statman Cillian Kelly, that's the longest streak anyone has ever held a distinctive jersey at the Tour de France for, ever. The last rider to wear white was Egan Bernal at the 2020 Tour de France. He lost it to Pogačar on stage 13 that year, and it's been Pogačar's and Pogačar's only ever since. Sorry for going slightly off on a tangent there, but that particular stat just amazes me. Anyway, stage 2 provided a chance for Jumbo-Visma and the rest to strike back and featured the infamous Yazgbel climb. The early fight for the breakaway wasn't as spicy as some anticipated, and Remy Cavagna, Edvald Boasson Hagen and Nielsen Paulus went clear. Paulus added to his lead in the KOM competition and was the final man left, but the peloton gave him no chance. That was in part because of the 8, 5 and 2 bonus seconds that waited at the top of the climb. UAE upped the ante once more, using Yates in the yellow jersey to lead out Pogačar in the final metres of the climb, and Vingegaard tried, but Pogačar easily had the kick to come over the top of the Dane to secure 8 bonus seconds. Vingegaard taking 5 and Simon Yates picking up 2 seconds behind. And just like that, we had the 2 lead favourites to win the Tour de France together with 16 kilometres to go. Pogačar asked for a turn, and again, Vingegaard refused, with Wout van Aert climbing well and in the chasing group behind. This created a similar situation to stage 1. Wout van Aert, the quickest rider left, and Jumbo-Visma with numbers to control, with Wilco Kelderman, Tiesj Benoot alongside van Aert and Vingegaard. Pello Bilbao, who fell short of winning in Bilbao the day before, used his local knowledge and excellent descending skills to break away. He was reeled in though before Emmanuel Buchmann tried a short-lived counter-attack. All of this though was wearing away at Jumbo-Visma's resources. Tom Pidcock and Matthias Skjelmose were next to move, with Van Aert having to close a gap himself this time. Here's what Tiesj Benoot had to say on this phase of the race.
I think there were about 20 riders who were left after Kruijsgebel, and we were still 4 there with the fastest man in the group, I would say. With Wout, it's normal that the other teams look at us. And then it's also normal tactic that Jonas is not pulling, so actually we're only 2 to do the work, and to control a group like this, it's pretty hard. I think the attack of Pidcock killed us a bit, and then Lafay could profit from it. But yeah.
Jumbo seemed to have the job done when Victor Lafay attacked under the Flamme Rouge. Wilco Kelderman tried to respond, but Lafay's lead grew and he rounded the final corners at the head of the race. Van Aert launched his sprint with Lafay still up the road, but the line came just in the nick of time for Lafay and Cofidis. Now, Cofidis last won a Tour de France stage all the way back on 25th of July 2008, when Sylvain Chavanel won in Montluçon. That's almost 5,500 days between team victories. It also means France's first victory is secured nice and early. That'll be a particular relief after they had to wait until stage 19 last year when Laporte won. Some Van Aert fans were asking the question though, should Vingegaard have pulled on the front for Van Aert in the final kilometre or so? It's a difficult question with a lot of variables. It leaves Vingegaard open to losing more bonus seconds to Pogačar, but it may have been the difference between Wout's winning and finishing second. Let us know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Either way, Van Aert was visibly frustrated, much to Pogačar's amusement. Anyway, Adam Yates still holds the yellow jersey, now with a 6-second lead over his brother Simon and teammate Pogačar. There has been some talk of UAE using Yates as a dual leader alongside Pogačar, or at least backing him up, but based on Pogačar's performance over the first couple of stages, I think they have to be all in for the 2-time winner. By virtue of bonus seconds, the gap between the big 2, Pogačar and Vingegaard, is already 11 seconds. Elsewhere in the battle for the GC, Jai Hindley, Mikel Landa, Carlos Rodriguez, David Gaudu and Matthias Skjelmose are the riders who have started well and sit at 22 seconds, while Ben O'Connor, Danny Martinez and Rigo Aran have not started the race as they'd have hoped, with the latter 2 over 10 minutes down already. Stage 3 will have finished by the time this video is released, and the first mass sprint of the race is expected. Jasper Philipsen, Fabio Jakobsen, Mads Pedersen and Dylan Groenewegen are the favourites, but I'm intrigued to see how Jumbo-Visma approach the stage with both Van Aert and Christophe Laporte at their disposal. Also look out for Sam Welsford. The DSM rider is racing his first Grand Tour, but he's very fast indeed. Anyway, I've absolutely loved the Basque-flavoured start to the Tour de France. Let us know in the comments what you'd rate the Basque Grand Départ out of 10. For me, it's probably a 9.5, and the only reason I can't give a 10 is because I haven't watched Stage 3 yet. Okay, what's coming up this week on GCN+? Well, the Tour de France of course continues with daily coverage, some chances for the sprinters this week, but we also foray into the high mountains for the first time. Stage 6 offers up the Col de Tourmalet before the Puy de Dôme returns to the Tour de France for the first time in 35 years on Stage 9. Some epic historic battles on that climb, and those stages are not to be missed. Territory restrictions do apply though. We also have our exclusive World of Cycling show available on Wednesday morning. Cy Richardson and the gang will discuss whether this has indeed been the hardest start to the Tour de France ever. And if you simply can't get enough of the Tour de France, and I can't blame you, check out our Tour de France documentary collection on GCN+. Spend time with former winners and rivals Alberto Contador and Andy Schleck. Ride the first stages of the first ever Tour from 1903 on bikes as old as the race. Relive the drama and scandal of the '98 Festina affair, and much more. This week's brand new documentary is called How to Climb Like a Pro. Alec Briggs is on a journey to learn the art and the craft of climbing and takes key lessons from World Tour stars past and present, including Dan Martin and Ashley Moolman-Pasio. Take a look at this.
What does it take to be a great climber? I'm Alec Briggs, pro cyclist and founder of the Techers cycling team. I'm happiest in a crit race, riding and cornering at speed. But climbing, that doesn't come easy. So I'm going out on the road with some of the most talented climbers to learn to climb like a pro.
I cannot wait to watch that one, and it will be available from Tuesday the 4th of July. And of course, the Giro Donne continues this week live on GCN+, and it's available worldwide. So, 3 stages so far, let's recap the action. Annemiek van Vleuten, Lorena Wiebes, Marianne Vos, Elisa Longo Borghini and her Lidl Trek teammate Gaia Railini are among the stars on the start line. The race began with a short prologue in Cianciano. Well, it sort of did, because it rained and rains and then rained some more, leading to the organisers cancelling the stage due to extreme weather conditions. So the riders rolled out for stage 2 with no Maglia Rosa in the bunch. Irina Mendes and Susanna Anderson formed a 2-rider breakaway and began the Passo della Colle, the only climb of the day, in the lead. Defending champion Annemiek van Vleuten went clear on the climb though and was chased by Gaia Railini and Marta Cavalli. The duo were swept up by a larger chasing group that included Longo Borghini and Uttrup Ludwig. Up the road though, Van Vleuten didn't falter. She pushed all the way to the finish to secure the Maglia Rosa, winning the stage by 45 seconds. And it was a meaningful win for AVV, as it was the 100th of her career. Here she is after the landmark victory.
First of all, it's I think my 100th victory from the UCI, so it's a really special one to win this one. And then especially in my favorite country to race together with Spain, I have to say Italy. In the Giro, my favorite race. Wow, it's unbelievable also how it went. I didn't know how my legs were because I went to altitude, and usually in Livigno is for me where the magic happens. I recharge myself and I usually come back really strong. But I didn't know. I didn't test myself, so today was the first test, and I think Livigno did his work again.
A century for AVV then, and 14 of those wins have come in stages at the Giro Donne. We finally had a Maglia Rosa for stage 3, and the first chance for the sprinters was on the cards in Modena. With a technical finish, organisers decided that the GC times would be taken at the 1 kilometre to go marker, so don't be shocked when you see a small group of riders sprinting for victory. Barbara Grischi rounded the final corner in the lead, over to Martin McDonald for the finish.
We round this big final turn. Deirdrickson, Paternoster, Dijger, all there they now line up for the finish, and Wiebes opens up the sprint. Voss is right on the wheel. Lorena Wiebes, is she going to open her account in this Giro? Yes, she is. Oh, big crash there, looked like, from Letizia Paternoster. What a shame for the Jayco Alula rider, but the victory goes to the European champion from SD Works, Lorena Wiebes.
Wiebes was just unstoppable there, beating Voss and Dijger, with Megan Jastrab and Rachele Barbieri rounding out the top 5. This is only Wiebes' second start at the Giro Donne and a third stage win of her career there, but I'd bet it won't be the last this year. Of the stages coming up this week, I'm particularly excited about Stage 5 on Tuesday. The riders will be heading to Xerez from Salasa, and there's plenty of climbing on the menu, so expect the GC riders to go all in. Elsewhere, the mountain bike stars were on display in Val di Sole in the latest round of the Mountain Bike World Cup. Puck Pieterse was beaten in a sprint by Laura Stigger in the short track race, but Pieterse dominated the long track. Luca Schwarzbauer and Nino Schurter were the winners in the men's events, while Valentina Holl and Jackson Goldstone were the winners in the downhill events too. For a more detailed look back at the mountain bike action, make sure you head to the GMBN Racing channel and the Racing News Show over there, with highlights and full replays on GCN Plus, of course. Pascal Ackermann has won the first stage of the Tour of Austria, beating Jonathan Narvaez and Kim Hajduk in a sprint finish there. In other news, Danny van Poppel has inked a deal to stay with Bora Hansgrohe through 2027. The 29-year-old has become one of the best lead-out riders in the world, so the team will be very glad to have him tied down long-term. Michael Landa has also been linked with a move to Lidl-Trek, but no official confirmation on where he'll be riding next season just yet. OK, that's all we have time for this week. Enjoy your racing, and we'll see you at the same time on next week's show. Goodbye for now.